There was one other question here, Brian, I wanted to get to. I can't find them anymore, but they wanted to ask you, Brian, about one, the prospects of representative democracy in Thailand, as well as I think Chiang Mai base, whether that is a spy base. So essentially, a question about Thailand and its politics, which I think is relevant here because we're talking a lot about USAID, NED. We're talking about regime change. We're talking about U.S. foreign policy and its actual roots. So you're in Thailand. You can speak to what this all means, especially for this idea of representative democracy.
Well, what is representative democracy in reality? It is a Western system of control that has been imposed on nations all around the world. Thailand didn't arrive at this system voluntarily; it was imposed upon them, and it is a system of control. It is not a system of self-determination. And whether people want to admit it or not, I forget who said it. It was a Chinese translator who translates for the senior level of the Chinese government. He said, look, people are too emotional. If you ask them to vote for, say, who is the president of China, they don't understand how a country is run, and they're easily manipulated emotionally. So, and just as you see in the West, they're not going to be able to make a truly informed decision. If you don't understand how infrastructure, energy, agriculture, industry, all of these things work, military matters, international relations. If you don't understand how any of this works, how can you pick the most qualified person to oversee all of these areas that are so essential for a nation to run itself? So what they do in China instead is the people vote for their local representatives, because that is something they can wrap their minds around. It is their community. They see it with their eyes. They walk through it every day, and they can make an informed decision about who they think is best able to serve them locally. Those elected officials then choose the next level of governance, so on and so forth, until you get to the president. Obviously, and nobody who has actually been to China or knows anything about China, really knows something about China, not just repeat what they saw on TV, that China, its system, serves the best interests of the people. You can see it. You can walk through the country and enjoy this society that has been built in service of the people. And in many ways, a lot of countries throughout Asia have a system very much like that. Here in Thailand, there's elements of that in the government. And all we've seen through representative democracy here in Thailand is the US manipulating the political process, building up opposition parties, and getting them into power from one election to the next. And then those people who were elected are not serving the best interests of the Thai people. They're serving Washington's best interests at the expense of the Thai people, whether the Thai people are aware of that or not, because of the process of propagandizing them. They're not aware of it. So that's what I would say about representative governance. It was imposed on Thailand as a system of control used by the West to serve American interests at the expense of Thai interests. Some of the things these politicians are proposing when they do manage to get into power are things like, let's cut all of our projects with China. Let's roll back our relationship with China. Let's pivot back to the US, Japan, and Australia, which have nothing to actually offer us as an alternative, just to subordinate the country to the US and then pivot it as a proxy against China, just like Ukraine. So that's what I would say about that. The next thing, the consulate in Chiang Mai is massive. They were rebuilding it. Is like a massive fortress. The US Embassy in Bangkok is massive. It is huge. It occupies entire blocks of the city. Why? Is it because there's so many Americans here in Thailand? No, the largest group of tourists coming into Thailand now are Chinese tourists. And there's more tourists from China coming into Thailand every single year than all Western countries combined, including the United States. So why does the US have these huge fortress embassies and consulates in Thailand? Because they are centers of regional subversion. The US is running all of the regime change operations here in Thailand out of these facilities, but also all of the subversion region-wide. It is a regional hub for US subversion. The violent, decade-spanning conflict ravaging Myanmar to Thailand's west is being run out of the consulate in Chiang Mai. The Westerners who are in Myanmar training, arming, supplying the terrorists and militants fighting the central government there literally cross the border and report to the consulate in Chiang Mai, just to give you an idea of how that works. And on my channel, The New Atlas on YouTube, there's a search bar. You can search my channel specifically and just type in Myanmar, Chiang Mai, Thailand, and I've done entire videos about this and shown the WikiLeaks cables admitting to all of this.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, as you said, Ryan, representative democracy used by the United States and the collective West, it's often a political weapon. Governments, nations like Thailand or anybody else, China, Russia, multipolar worlds in general, they should have the right to determine what kind of governments they want. They should have the right to choose. And that's up to the people to decide. That is exactly what the National Endowment for Democracy and these arms of the regime change apparatus of the United States want to subvert. They want to subvert the people's choice. And it's not, this isn't to say that governments all around the world, including China's and Russia's, don't have issues that we may not always agree with. But at the end of the day, people make decisions of how they want to live based on their own right to self-determination. That is their right internationally, under international law, to be able to determine, no matter how hard that struggle is, to do that on their own. It just so happens that the reason why that UN principle even exists is because we had a long period that still continues on to this day, just in different form, but a long period of actual colonial subjugation by Western powers. The United States also took part in that. That led to many world wars, and that's what led to actually the UN system, which, for all of its flaws, there's a reason why the UN Charter has self-determination in there.